The story of the cloak of Saint Joseph. Saint Joseph had to go to the mountains of Hebron, where he had a consignment of wood set up, but he had been delaying this particular journey for days, hoping he could collect all of the money, but it was all in vain. The things of the poor, they do their accounts and things almost never turn out as they think. Joseph had now collected more than half of the money and couldn't wait any longer, as it was necessary to serve the parishioners and therefore go buy the wood. "If it's okay with you," the Blessed Virgin Mary said, "I'll ask the relatives for it." "I'll go," Joseph answered. "No, husband," said Mary. "You have to make a long journey and you must not get tired." And covering her head according to custom, she left home. And soon enough, she returned home. "There is no money," says the Blessed Virgin Mary. "I have requested in several houses, and they have all excused themselves. It is undoubtedly true that they do not have any, because if they had, how could they refuse to give it? And besides, I was thinking, maybe you could leave your cloak as a pledge, and with that, the owner of the wood will be satisfied." "That is not a bad idea," said Saint Joseph, lowering his eyes so his wife could not see them, overwhelmed with tears. "Goodbye, my husband," said Mary as she dismissed him. "May the God of Abraham be with you, and may his angel guide you." "Goodbye, my wife," Saint Joseph retorted. "I will try to return soon." And so the saint left with half the money and the new mantle that Mary had given him on their wedding day. "God save you, Ishmael," the Holy Father of Jesus said, arriving in the presence of the owner of the hired logs. "Are you here for the wood?" Ishmael's voice was laced with annoyance. "You should have come earlier. I'm almost out." Ishmael had a bad temper and was a heartless miser. He had never felt peace. His passion was money, and though Joseph knew this, he still dealt with him, probably due to his lack of confidence and the fear of having to declare the state of his pocket. Choosing the logs and setting them aside, Joseph took a deep breath. He called Ishmael aside and said, "Please excuse me, for I only bring half the money," Joseph apologized. "You know that I have always paid you in cash. Wait for me and be patient. I promise I will pay you to the last quadrant, but please keep this cape as a garment." Ishmael wanted him to take half the logs, though St. Joseph protested again and again, in such a way that their contract could break down. But Ishmael eventually gave in, although not very willingly, and he decided to keep the mantle of St. Joseph. Ishmael had been sick for a very long time, having had ulcers in his eyes, and though he'd invested in doctors and medicines, he hadn't achieved anything. He'd almost given up hope, and so he was astonished when he found out his eyes were healthy and had healed the moment he touched the cloak. It was as though he had never suffered. "What is this?" Ishmael wondered. "Yesterday I was sick with incurable ulcers, or that was what the doctor said, and now I'm healthy?" Joseph did not give Ishmael a reason, and upon arriving at his house, he told his wife about the prodigy. Eve, that was his wife's name, was a true basilisk. She had a wild temper, and ever since she had married Ishmael, she had never been in peace, had happiness, or maybe even tranquility. That night, she was like a lamb. What sweetness was in her words, what meekness, what joy in her face when somber and wrinkled with anger. "What is this? What has happened? What has brought this change?" Ishmael asked himself as his wife served him dinner. "Take this cloak and put it away," he told Eve. "It belongs to Joseph, the carpenter from Nazareth, and he has to come and take it back. However, this cloak must be the cause of what has brought peace and tranquility to our house. Ever since I put it on my shoulders, I feel such change, such affections and desires, and so there can be no other cause." Then they heard a noise in their stables, and cutting off the conversation, Ishmael jumped out of his seat and went over to see what it was. hot on his heels. A cow, the best, fattest in the land, writhed on the ground in horrible pain. Poor animal! Despite the remedies that both spouses lavished on her, she did not get any better. On the contrary, it seemed she was getting worse. Ishmael remembered Joseph's mantle and communicated his thoughts over to Eve. They had nothing to lose. But if the cow healed, they would know that the cloak was the cause of her happiness and the well-being they enjoyed. The moment they threw the cape over her, the animal rose from the ground where it had right before due to the force of her pain. The cow then began to eat as if nothing had happened. "You see it?" Ishmael said. "This cloak is a treasure. Since it's been in our company, we've been happy. Let us keep this garment from heaven. Let us not part with it even if they gave us all the gold in the world." "We won't even return it to its owner?" Eve asked. "Not even to its owner," answered Ishmael. "Then," said Eve, "we'll buy him a better one than this one in the market of Jerusalem, and if it's okay with you, we'll both go and take it to him." "Yes," the husband replied. "I forgive his debt, and I am also willing to give him all the wood he needs." "Didn't you say she has a son named Jesus?" Eve asked. "I will bring him as a gift, a pair of white lambs and a pair of doves like snow, and oil and honey for Mary. Is that okay with you, my husband?" "Everything sounds good to me." "Tomorrow we will go to Jerusalem, and from there on, Nazareth." As they readied the camels, Ishmael's younger brother came running by, panting and pleading. He informed them that their father's house was on fire and that they simply must bring the carpenter's mantle in order to put out the fire. There was no time to lose. And so the two brothers rushed over to their father's house to put out the fire. The fire was raging. It was getting worse and worse every second. It was chaos. It was chaos personified. And then Ishmael decided to cut a piece of the miraculous cloak and throw it into the fire. There was no need to spill even a single drop of water. That was enough to stop the fire and put it out. The people were amazed to see the prodigy and blessed the Lord. What happened?" Eve asked, hurrying over to them as she arrived. "Has the fire gone out?" "Yes," answered her husband, filled with satisfaction. A piece of the cloak was enough to perform the miracle. Days later, they got off their camels and knocked at the door of the carpenter of Nazareth. Ishmael and Eve came full of humility to prostrate themselves at the feet of Joseph and Mary, and to give them various gifts. Seeing them, Saint Joseph and the Blessed Virgin Mary believed that they would come claiming the debt, and they were filled with sadness, because they still did not have the money. But upon entering the house where Joseph, Mary, and the child Jesus were, they both knelt down, and Ishmael, overcome with gratitude, said the following: "My wife and I have come to thank you for the immense goods and blessings we have received from heaven since you left me the cloak. We will not get up from here without obtaining some consent to stay with it, so it can continue to protect my house, my marriage, my interests, and my children." "Oh, please get up," said Joseph, letting out his hands to help them up. Mary and Joseph watched as Ishmael continued in his spiritual rapture. "O holy prophet," he cried out, "do allow your servant so to speak on his knees, and listen to these words. I was sick in my spirit, and by means of your cloak I have been healed. I was a usurer, haughty and spiteful, and a man without any guts, a man who had turned against God. My wife was dominated by anger, and now she's an angel of peace. They owed me large amounts of money, and I have collected them all without costing me any work. The best of my cows, the best of my cattle was sick, and now she's been healed. And finally, my father's house caught on fire, and it was extinguished by throwing a piece of your cloak into the flames." "Praise be to God," said the holy carpenter, lowering his eyes. "Oh, please do get up. It is not right for you to be on your knees and in front of a man as miserable as me." "I haven't finished yet," Ishmael replied. "You are not like the others, but a saint, a prophet, an angel on earth. I've brought you a new cloak, one of the best that's woven in Sidon. To Mary, your wife, we bring oil and honey. And to Jesus, your son, my wife has decided to gift him a pair of white lambs and a pair of those even whiter than the snow of Lebanon. Oh, please accept these poor gifts. Have my house, my livestock, my forests, my riches, everything we possess. Please, please, just don't ask me for your cloak. Keep it, said the holy carpenter. And thank you. Thank you very much for your offers and your gifts. And then Mary decided to speak. Know, good husbands, that God has determined to bless all those families that place themselves under the protective mantle of my holy husband. Do not be surprised by his prodigies. You will see even greater ones. Love Joseph, serve him, keep the mantle, divide it among your children, and let this be the best inheritance you'll leave for them in the world. And it is known that the spouse has faithfully kept the advice of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and we're always happy. The same went for their children and their children's children. The end. Let's be united in prayer. Share this video and subscribe to our channel. Click on the little bell to get a notification of our next video. Gift us a like so more people are able to pray alongside us. It's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. Mother Teresa.